If you're over 40 and still training as you did when you were 20, this is a great chance that you're slowing your progress instead of improving it. And this is not because you're old, but because most training advice completely misunderstands how the body changes over 40. And today I want to show you something very important. The best training split for men over 40 is not what most fitness influencers recommend. Not the popular push-pull leg system 6 times per week, not random full body workouts, and definitely not training every muscle 2 or 3 times per week. Instead, the most effective structure for long-term muscle growth after 40 is something far simpler, but far more intelligent. And after 40 years in bodybuilding, competing in 46 competitions, coaching thousands of clients, I have seen very clearly what works and what does not. For the ones who are new to my channel, I'm Dr. Nash Jocic, former bodybuilding champion. I've been in bodybuilding for over 40 years, and during that time I competed 46 times and won 17 titles. I've also coached over 3,500 clients and helped them to get in the best shape of their lives. During the same time, I have published 12 ebooks for you, which are fully loaded with everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding, muscle growth, fat loss, training splits, number of sets, number of reps, and much, much more. So if you want to expand your knowledge and widen your horizons, simply click on that link in the comments and you can download my ebooks. So in this video, I will explain the biggest training mistake men over 40 make, the recovery that actually changes after 40, the best weekly training split that builds muscle safely, how many sets and exercises you really need, and how to keep progressing for decades without destroying your joints. So let us begin with the biggest myth in modern training. Today, the fitness industry constantly tells people you should train every muscle 2 or 3 times per week for best results. And this idea comes from research done on beginners or groups which are completely irrelevant for us, for bodybuilders or people over 40. But what many people fail to understand is that training frequency is not main driver of hypertrophy. The real driver of muscle growth is mechanical tension, progressive overload, and sufficient recovery. And recovery is exactly where things change after 40. Not because muscles cannot recover, but because connective tissues recover more slowly. That includes tendons, ligaments, joints, and even the central nervous system. Muscle tissue can often recover between 48 and 72 hours, but connective tissue may require 4, 5, or even 6 days to fully adapt to heavy training. This is why many men over 40 experience elbow pain, shoulder irritation, knee discomfort, lower back pain when they follow high-frequency programs. And this is what is causing poor recovery, so simply they do not recover efficiently. There are several physiological factors that change gradually after 40. First, connective tissue becomes less elastic. Second, recovery hormone like testosterone and growth hormone are not as high as they were in your 20s. Third, most people have demanding careers, families, higher stress levels, and less sleep. And all of this reduces total recovery capacity. But here is the important point. That doesn't mean that you cannot build muscle over 40. In fact, many men get their best physiques in their 40s and 50s, but only if they train intelligibly. And the key principle is this: train hard enough to stimulate recovery, but allow enough time for full recovery. And this brings us to the most effective training structure. In my experience, the best training structure for men over 40 is 4 days training split, where each muscle group is trained only once per week. This allows maximum intensity during the workout, full recovery for joints and connective tissues, and sustainable progress for many years. Here is the split that I recommend most often for people over 40. Day 1, chest and biceps. For chest, I recommend multi-joint exercises, 3 of them, like bench press, incline press, and decline press, and also one isolating exercise, for example, dumbbell flies. Biceps, 2 exercises, barbell curls and squat curls, and also one for brachialis and brachioradialis, which is hammer curls. All these exercises should be performed in 4 to 5 sets with a rep range 8 to 12. I advise anywhere to rest between the sets from 45 to 90 seconds for multi-joint exercises, and for isolation exercises and biceps exercises anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. Now, day 2, I advise legs and calves. I always advise calves first. For calves, I advise 2 exercises, standing calf raises and also seated calf raises. Standing calf raises should be performed in 5 sets, 8 to 12 reps, seated 5 sets, 12 to 20 reps. Now for quadriceps and also gluteus muscles, best exercises are squats and leg press. So these 2 multi-joint exercises I advise as a bread and butter for leg and glute development. Squats should be performed anywhere to 4 to 5 sets. Number of reps 12 to 20. Leg press the same, 4 to 5 sets, 12 to 20 reps. Third exercise, lunges. Lunges 4 to 5 sets, 30 to 40 reps. Rest between the sets. For legs, I advise anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds, not longer than that. And for your hamstrings, I would advise leg curls. So 4 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Also, you can actually do a bit more reps for leg curls, maybe 12 to 20 sometimes. And the second exercise for hamstrings should be straight legs deadlift. That exercise should be performed in 4 to 5 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Day 3 should be rest. Now, day 4, I advise back and abdominals. Now, for back, the most important exercises are obviously pull-ups or pull-downs, depending if you can do pull-ups, fine. If not, do pull-downs. 4 to 5 sets, anywhere from 8 to 12 reps. Second exercise, bent over rows, 4 to 5 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Third exercise, close grip pull-down, 4 to 5 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Fourth exercise, cable seated rowing. So this exercise, again, 4 to 5 sets, 8 to 12 reps. The last exercise that I advise for back is hyperextensions. And this exercise should be performed anywhere from 4 to 5 sets with maximum number of reps. Now, when it comes to abs, I advise 2 exercises. The first one is leg or hip raises on decline bench. This should be performed anywhere 4 to 5 sets, max number of reps. Second exercise, crunches, 4 to 5 sets, max number of reps. Now, this was day 4. Day 5, you do shoulders and triceps. For shoulders, I recommend 2 multi-joint exercises and 2 isolating exercises. So start your workout with shoulder press. Continue with dumbbell lateral raises. Third exercise, upright row. Fourth exercise, rear delts flies. Every exercise should be performed in 4 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Triceps, 3 exercises. EZ bar, triceps push down, French press, and the third exercise, rope push down. Every exercise for triceps should be performed in 4 sets, 8 to 12 reps. So days 6 and 7 off. So you have 4 days on, 3 days off. I advise you to go 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 2 days off. So this will allow full recovery before the next training cycle begins. Now, why this split works so well? And that has been shown in reality. So many people have benefited, all my clients, and also so many of you who followed my advice. And just read the comments on the videos, and you will see the thousands of people changing every day by following my instructions. This split works extremely well for men over 40 because it balances 3 key factors. So the number 1 factor is training intensity. Because you're training each muscle group once a week, you can train very hard, but also you have enough time to recover that muscle group. And this allows for higher quality sets, heavier loads, and better focus. This is completely different than all these Modern advice, train every muscle 2-3 times per week. You will never get all these benefits. Now, the second key factor is joint protection. One of the biggest causes of injuries is actually accumulative excessive fatigue. So this is something that happens over time, and because of not spacing workouts properly. But if you do, you dramatically reduce your stress, especially stress on elbows, shoulders, and knees, because these are very vulnerable areas. And this is critical for long-term training longevity. Now, the third key factor is consistency. And this is the most important factor in bodybuilding. It is consistency over years. A training split must be sustainable for 10, 20, or 30 years. So when I give you this training split, this is exactly why this structure works so well, because it's sustainable. You are not going to get accumulated injuries, you are not going to be overstressed, and also you will be able to train every muscle with full intensity, in right form, with perfect execution, as I advise in so many videos. Another extremely important factor in efficiency of this training split is the role of basic exercises. As I have mentioned, for every muscle group, I always advise multi-joint exercises. They are the bread and butter for muscle growth. Isolation exercises have their place, but they should never replace multi-joint exercises. Simply because multi-joint exercises create the highest mechanical tension. You have to remember this. And this is the main driver of hypertrophy. Nothing will create as much mechanical tension as, for example, squats, leg press, pull-ups, barbell rows, bench press, incline press, shoulder press, upright row, and similar exercises. So they have to be the cornerstone of your training split. They're the main structure of your good training split. And this is exactly what I have advised when I explain every exercise for every muscle group. So isolation exercises, they have their place, but they should complement the basic exercises and never to replace them. So remember this is very, very important. Now let me tell you a few words about progressive overload. So regardless of age, muscle growth still depends on progressive overload. I have dedicated the whole video on this subject, which you can consider watching it. And progressive overload doesn't mean that you're going to chase heavier weights day after day, week after week, hoping and believing that if you just lift heavier, you will going to get bigger. This is not true. You can only increase your weight when you reach that point that the weight that you have been using for weeks or months has become light. So when I recommend 12 reps in the first set, near failure, and one day you can do 15 reps in the first set, obviously that weight has become light. So you need to increase that weight a little bit, let's say 5%. And then you drop down to 12 reps. So in your next workout, you will do heavier, a little bit heavier weight, but again 12 reps. You stay there as long as it takes without sacrificing your perfect form and time under tension. And when the day arrives that you perform more reps in the first set than 12, for example, again, you can increase the weight. Only this is productive and safe and sustainable principle of progressive overload. Everything else is simply junk volume and quick road to injuries. Now, let me tell you a few words now about the biggest mistake that men over 40 make. The biggest mistake I see is this. They're trying to trend like young athletes on social media. And many influencers are, first of all, enhanced athletes. Second, they are in their 20s. And also with full-time training schedules. So these guys can be successful, can be looking good, but they are very different. They are not really who you are. And their programs are not designed for normal people over 40. Trying to imitate them often leads to stagnation, injuries, and burnout. And I see that day after day. Most of my clients that start working with me, they come and say, oh, but you know, that coach online that I had, he said to me every muscle should be trained twice per week because he is training it twice per week. Yes, but he's 20 years old and also he's on steroids and you're not, and you're 45 or 50. So you're not going to benefit from that. So you have to be more intelligent than that. So instead, your goal should be to train for long-term consistency and via intelligent training cause muscle growth without injuries. And this is exactly what I am proposing in this video. Now let me leave you with one important thought. Turning 40 does not mean that you should lower your standards. It simply means that you must start training smarter. If you structure your training wisely, correctly, and focus on progressive overload, allow proper recovery, you can continue building muscles for decades. So this is not true that because you're over 40, you can't build muscle anymore, or you're not anymore in that, hormonal state or whatever. So there is no point continuing or starting. Absolutely wrong. I had clients who came to me on the age of 55. Now they are 75. They look better than ever in their life. You can see those guys. I always post the pictures and videos of them. And there is one very good news for you. If you really want to learn exactly how I perform every single exercise that I consider most effective for every muscle group, how I split workouts, and give advice on progression and nutrition, you can learn all of this by downloading my complete bodybuilding blueprint course, which is coming next week. Let me remind you once again that I have published 12 ebooks which are fully loaded with everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding. And if you want to go deeper and expand your knowledge, simply click on that link in the comments and you can download my ebooks. Also, I would like you to watch this video in which I introduce my other services, ways that I can help you one-to-one get in the best shape of your life. And these services are personalized training programs, personalized nutritional programs, telephone consultations, online coaching, and also personal training one-to-one for people who live in London. And guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. And if you did, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, share the video, and also send me your comments. And until the next video, I wish you all the best.